welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a video that I've had a fair few people ask me to film. I'm not sure if it's useful at this current time. Technically, US people can still rent points, like because they can actually travel to Disney World. The rest of the world can't, but in the future, I assume it will still run the same. So if you couldn't tell from the title and from what I just said, this is how we rented DVC points last year for the very first time. I wish we had have done it sooner. That's probably my biggest regret is we would have saved money if we had done it sooner and been able to stay at some really awesome resorts. So we're going to go through a rundown of how it works and how much money you do actually save. We've got a few figures here and everything, so you can get a ballpark figure. Obviously prices change constantly, so it's not going to be 100% correct, but it's a rough estimate. So let's move on with this video because I'm sure it's going to be a long one. So maybe grab some snacks. I've got water. Once again, I always have my universal cup when I'm filming a Disney. I don't know why. It's because you can fit so much water in this thing.
Yeah, they're bigger than the Disney cups.
They're bigger than the Disney cup. So yeah, grab a drink. We've got our ears on and we're here to talk Disney. So let's go.
What is DVC? So DVC stands for Disney Vacation Club, and it's pretty much Disney's version of a timeshare. So you will go to DVC, you will buy at a home resort, and you'll buy a certain amount of points which you will get every year for however long that resort the contract goes for. So it depends on the resort you pick for how long you have it, but when the resort opens, it lasts for 50 years.
Yeah, so that's a really brief rundown of what DVC is.
Yep.
We became DVC owners last year. I have a whole video about that. I'll have it on a eye in the sky. I don't know which side it's on, and I'll also link it down below for anyone who's interested in how we became DVC members and why we decided to do it. And we go into a bit more about what it is. So I might actually explain DVC, but that is a really brief rundown. It's a timeshare. Disney Vacation Club. So how does renting DVC points work? Because obviously you're not an owner, you're not a DVC member. So how does it work? Pretty much an owner, so it could be us, for example, either can't use their points
and they're going to expire.
Or they just want to make some money because it is a good way to make some cash. And for the owner, they make cash and they make a good amount that will cover their annual dues and everything, and then for the person on the other side, you're actually saving a lot of money. So it's like a win-win for everyone involved. So an owner will go to a company. There are many different companies. The main one we're going to be talking about is the DVC rental store because that is who we use, but we did also look into using David's. There are plenty of others. Don't take my word for it that they're the only two. There are more. That's just the two that sort of kept coming up when we were doing research. So an owner would contact them, say, hey, I have this amount of points, and that company will then find somebody, one of you guys, to use those points. An owner can obviously also, say Mickey wasn't an owner, I could be like, hey Mickey, I've got some points, do you want to use? Do you want to use it? And we just do a transaction.
Yeah, we can just organize it ourselves privately.
Yeah, so that is pretty much how it's done. It's just an owner wants to get rid of their points and
they rent them out.
They want to rent them out for you to use.
So what are the DVC resorts? That's another question. There are 15 DVC, not dedicated, but DVC resorts. So the normal Disney resorts don't count, like all of them don't count as DVC resorts. So for example, the Values, they're not DVC resorts. There are 15 DVC. There are 4 that aren't located at Walt Disney World. So the Grand Californian has DVC rooms in California.
That's at Disneyland, just to clarify.
Yeah. Aulani, which is in Hawaii, has half of the hotel and the other half is DVC. And then there's 2 dedicated, which means that the whole resort is DVC at Vero Beach in Florida, and the other one is Hilton Head in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Then the main ones that we will be using and that I guess most people would be interested in.
These are the main points you're probably going to rent, is for the ones that are at Disney World.
Yeah, Disneyland only has one. They will be getting a second one in a few years, but Disney World is where most of them are at. So there's 11 at Disney World. Just so you get a general idea of what they are and the sort of cheapest to most expensive to use your points. I've gone off just like standard studios at the time of year that we like to travel, but it really depends on what time of year you travel, what room, that sort of stuff. But just in general.
But it normally stays the same. So the order we're going is normally these are the resorts that are going to be your cheapest to rent. Expensive. So they're going to be your cheapest on points, which is what the DVC owner goes off, and cheapest for you cash-wise.
Because you have to pay a price per point. So obviously the less points it costs, the cheaper it will be for you. The more points, more expensive for you.
And so, clearly, you know, not everyone's staying at the Grand Floridian on the same amount of points as what you're staying at, like, Old Key West. So
complete
there's
opposites.
a difference.
So around the cheapest resort would be Old Key West. Animal Kingdom does technically have cheaper rooms, but they're called value rooms, but there's like probably 5 of them, I think. And pretty much unless you own there, you're not going to be able to stay there, and I don't think people would be able to get them renting points anyway. I think the owners
could try.
Yeah, you could try, but I don't know if you would get it. So anyway, it's pretty much Old Key West is the cheapest, then Boardwalk, then Animal Kingdom Lodge, then it would be Saratoga Springs. So Old Key West and Saratoga are fully dedicated DVC. The other ones have DVC in them.
Nope, there's another one that's fully DVC.
Yeah, that's coming up. So Saratoga, it's fully DVC. Then these ones are usually around the same point. So Beach Club, Boulder Ridge and Copper Creek, which Boulder Ridge and Copper Creek are both part of Wilderness Lodge Hotel. They're all usually around the same price. Then it would be Bay Lake Tower, which is like the DVC portion of the Contemporary at Disney World. And then it would be Riviera Resort, which Riviera is the 3rd dedicated DVC resort at Disney World. So the whole resort is just DVC. There's no normal hotel rooms. And then it would be Lucky Last, the Holly and Grand Floridian are
the most expensive, like always.
Yeah,
always
up
the most
there.
expensive.
Which it's the same sort of for, like if you're paying cash for the hotel side, they're the most expensive resorts as well. So it sort of makes sense.
Okay, so now that you know the resorts you can stay at, if you know Disney World, you may have realized they are all deluxe resorts. As Nikki mentioned before, no values or moderates are DVC resorts, or you can use DVC points at. They are all the deluxe resorts, and if you're on the Disney World website, you need to look under the resort category Deluxe Villas. They are technically DVC resorts. If it says Deluxe Villa, it's a DVC resort.
It's a DVC room, yeah.
So the biggest benefit of a DVC room, like apart from one type of category, is they're apartments. They're the only apartments you can get on property is through the DVC portion, so the villas. Now you can pay for these like cash through Disney World as well.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money. I wouldn't recommend it. That's why you're here, to learn how to rent points. So there are 4 different types of room categories. Oh,
Technically 5 with Riviera.
Technically 5 with Riviera. I forgot that one. So with Riviera, they have this thing called a tower studio that only sleeps 2 people. That is the only one of its kind. No other resort had that before date.
I believe the new Disneyland, so Disneyland Resort, Disneyland Hotel is getting a
DVC section
building built, which is the new Disneyland one I was talking about, and I believe they're getting tower studios as well. But every other resort, it just starts off with a studio.
Yeah. So then you have your deluxe studios, which is pretty much your standard sort of hotel room. You don't get a kitchen, you get a little kitchenette, you get a toaster, you get a sink, a microwave. They normally sleep 4, some can sleep 5. Most of the time, the person, the 3rd or 4th sleeper, is on a pull-out couch. They are now starting to update them to proper beds now that they've sort of figured out the system of having them pull out of the wall. And then from there, you have a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, and a 3-bedroom, which is called a grand villa. Most of them have multiple bathrooms. Like we're talking, you have a laundry, you have a full-size kitchen, and this just reminded me there is actually another resort that has a full-size kitchen, and it's Fort Wilderness, the cabins. They're not DVC, but they do actually have a kitchen. But apart from those, if you want to stay at other resorts and have a full-size kitchen, this is sort of the only way. You have to get a deluxe villa. Something I do want to mention is if you're in the process of looking at renting points and all that sort of stuff, I highly, highly, highly recommend using David's. Not that I booked through David's, but David's DVC Rentals, I think that's the name. If you just type in David's DVC Rentals, trust me, it will appear first on Google. He has great virtual tours of like every single room on his website. And I'm gonna give like a shout out to, not that they know me, but I watch their videos all the time. They're called Here with the Ears, and they've stayed at nearly every single room category you can think of at Disney World, and they just have some great room tours. So if you want to get an idea of what these rooms look like, what the differences between a studio to a 2-bedroom is, that is what I recommend doing. But they're the sort of room types that you can rent if you rent DVC points.
Which company did we use and why? So we firstly decided to go through a company. We probably could have gone online and tried to find someone who's a DVC owner who wanted to get rid of their points and just personally done it between ourselves.
Our dog is just drinking some water. So we chose to film this out in my lounge room because it's nighttime and there is way better lighting out here compared to my room. But little brown dog is having a drink.
3 hours later.
Yeah, so you could go through someone personally yourself.
There are lots of Facebook groups of people doing that. So if you do want to, if you're interested, go have a look. We just did.
And the other thing is, like, if you had like friends, you know, like we're DVC members, so if our friends asked us and wanted to rent it to us, you know, we could do that, that's fine. We personally, we didn't know anyone, and we just felt safer going through an actual company that organizes it, because they do it for their, like, you know, it's their business. So they're used to doing it, they know like how everything works, it's legit. You know, like you don't feel like you're gonna get like ripped off or scammed or something, you know, there's a contract that you sign and that the owner signs, and it's all, you know, mediated, so it just feels a lot safer that way. So that's why we went through a rental company. The reason we chose DVC Rental Store was for a few reasons. We'd heard of that one and David's and a few others, but those two are the main two we had sort of heard of, so we looked them up. And the main difference was so first of all, you have to pay a $100 security deposit when they go to look for, so you tell them sort of what resorts you're interested in, they'll go look for it. I believe if if you decide not to go through them, or they're not successful finding people, I'm not going to say exactly that David's does this or not because I can't quite remember, but there are other companies that won't give you the $100 security deposit back, whereas with DVC Rental Store, if you don't end up going through them...
Well, actually, just to get a quote is free. And that was the biggest difference. With David's, it wasn't free when we were looking at it, so that's why we chose DVC Rental Store, because just to get a quote and an idea of estimate, it was free. Yeah,
and so they would then go and once they'd actually found someone and got that person to book for you, you know, if they couldn't find someone, then they'll give you your money back. So we felt secure about that. The other reason why we went through them is because you don't have to pay the full amount up front. So once Disney said, yep, okay, confirmation you've got, if this is being booked for you, they will then ask you to pay a half deposit. So 50% for deposit.
I think a little bit over. DVC was just a little bit over 50.
Whereas other companies we had looked at were asking that you paid the full amount at that time of booking.
11 months out.
So we sort of liked that we didn't have to pay the full amount straight away. We had time to pay off, and they had a really good system where you could just go in whenever you wanted to and keep making payments. So
yeah, that was why we chose to go through a company. The biggest reason was the legally binding contract. So we felt safe in that we weren't pretty much going to get screwed over. That was like my biggest fear of all of this, because you're not going through Disney themselves. You're relying on a DVC owner to do the right thing for you. So that's why I think it's better to go through a company, just to have that peace of mind, because you literally have to sign this legal contract. I think it was like so many pages, and it's a bit daunting when you sign it, because it's like, you're not getting your money back, but
they sort of just email it to you, which so it's in a big email.
Yeah, but still,
and then you just like electronically sign for it.
It's more than doing it through Disney World. You just click a button and go pay now, and there's no contract signed.
It's mainly just to make sure that they actually book it for you, and they don't pull out and you rock up and don't have a room. And also to make sure that, like us, like when we rented someone's points, if we go and like trash the room and stuff like that, it's gonna then reflect on the owner who booked. So that person doesn't want to be responsible for that. So you have to sign that contract to say that you're gonna do the right thing, they're gonna do the right thing, and if people don't, then, you know, there'll be certain actions taken. But yeah, we just felt safer that way.
So the big question, how much would you actually save by renting DVC points? What I'm going to tell you to do is go check out the DVC rental store calculator. I should hopefully have a video up while I'm talking about how you access that. You put in the dates that you're interested in, and then you can either look at it as points or dollar. Obviously, as you guys are probably not DVC owners because you're here to rent points, you want to look at the dollar value, and that will tell you how much money it would cost you to rent points from that resort at that time that you're looking at. So I put in a dummy, query type thing on the calculator for the 14th of August next year till the 21st of August, so it's a solid week. And then I did the same thing on the Disney World website so I could get an estimate between the two, how much it would actually cost. So if we're just looking at Beach Club, for example, for a standard studio, it's $2,583. And something to keep in mind with that price is the price doesn't change for the amount of people in the room. If that room says you can sleep 4 people, that price stays the same for 4 people. Whereas through the Disney World website, they'll probably charge you more once you go past the 2 people mark. They'll charge a bit extra for the 3rd and the 4th person. So yeah, something to keep in mind, if you're renting a 2-bedroom villa that can sleep 9 people, you pay the same price no matter if you have 1 person in that room or if you have 9 people in that room. Yeah. So that price stays the same. Just the price is for the room, not for the amount of people in the room. You can just only have the amount that the room can fit on your booking. So then if I went to the Disney World website, I looked up the same thing, looked up Beach Club again, went to the deluxe villa section of the Disney World website and made sure I looked at a deluxe studio, so I got the same price, and it's $3,539. So you can see you're actually saving $1,000 US. So if you're Australian like we are, in today's rate, let me just do a quick calculation. I'm on my computer here. You're saving 1,400 Australian dollars, which is a pretty big saving.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why you rent points for these savings.
And I honestly wouldn't recommend booking through the like if you're going to get a studio, if you're going to like stay in a DVC room, so DVC villa, I just wouldn't book. Like I understand some people might be like, oh, but I just feel safer booking through the Disney World website. Trust me, it's completely safe. We've done it. There was no issues. They literally explain everything and go through everything with you on how it works when you email them. And the lady we had was really lovely.
I think her name was Tara.
Tara,
I don't have her name. So shout out to Tara because she was great.
She even like checks in with you before the trip, after the trip, all that sort of stuff. So it's, it's so safe. And I just, it's legit. So I don't see why you would want to pay more going through the Disney website because you're not getting anything different. You're getting the same room.
There is no difference.
Just pay cheaper and go through a company.
The difference is I guess you have to pay more up front and you're a bit more locked in compared to Disney World where you can pull out, was it 30 days before and you get all your money back?
Yeah,
something like
the only other difference is the DVC resorts actually legally have to have certain amount of rooms aside for cash stays. So Disney have to have those rooms available. So the other thing is the availability of the points rooms may be booked up because that's what the DVC members can use, whereas the cash rooms, so I don't know if that would slightly affect you with the availability, but
depends
honestly,
how far you book out.
For how much you're gonna save, I would just book far ahead, which if you're coming from Australia, you're probably going to do that.
Coming from Australia, it actually felt weird booking at 11 months out because one thing to take note of, which I don't think we've mentioned, as a DVC owner, they can only book 11 months out from when they want to stay.
Yeah, that's
only when you can book. You can't book any earlier if you want to rent DVC points. You can only book at your first chances at 11 months out. And as someone coming from Australia, we normally used to book over a year. So it actually felt a bit late for us, and we actually had a Disney resort reservation in place just in case this DVC renting thing didn't work out and we didn't get what we wanted. So maybe that's something else to keep in mind. Have a backup. Disney, because you get all your money back through Disney, it doesn't matter, you get all your deposits, whatever you put down. So that's just something to keep in mind, the 11-month thing. Okay, so you're wondering why we keep looking down.
Yeah, sorry.
I've written notes. I do it in every video. If you watch all my videos, you would probably know this, so that's why we keep going, so yeah, we're just
so I
looking
might
at
have to
our
look at
notes.
books for this one so I can be exact with you. So the next question was, how much did we pay for our stay last year? So we stayed for 2 weeks. We did 2 separate bookings. We did like a split stay. So for our first week at Disney World from December 7th to December 14th, it was a Saturday to Saturday. We stayed at Old Key West in a deluxe studio. They don't have different views at Old Key West, so it's just a deluxe studio. Other resorts charge you differently per the view that you book, but it's just a normal.
Same as a normal Disney hotel. You would notice when you go to value, even there's a standard room, there's a full view room, or there's a preferred room. It's the same thing with the DVC as well.
So some resorts have views, some don't. So Old Key West, we just deluxe studio, which means you get put anywhere, they don't have views. And that was 76 points for that whole week. That's how many points it cost the owner to rent to us, to book.
That's how many points they had to have.
So we rented 76 points from them, and in US dollars that cost us $1,292. So
I'll convert that to Australian. Obviously I'm going off today's rate, and for the purposes of this video, the US dollar is only 71 cents to the Australian dollar. So just so you can get a rough idea of what we're looking at here. So that was roughly 1,825 Australian dollars for 1 week at Old Key West.
So like I said before they actually go and book, they'll get the owner to book your DVC room and you get the Disney compensation, you put $100 security deposit down. So then they'll book it, and then once they book it, they'll tell you, I think you have like a few days or something, a week, I'm not sure how long it is, but they'll explain in the email, you'll have a certain amount of time to pay the rest of the deposit. So they'll count that $100 towards your deposit, and then the rest of it, they'll tell you exactly how much you have to pay and how long you have. So as the rest of the deposit, we had to pay $836 US dollars. And then the remainder of so if you're minus 836 from 1,292, the rest of that we had to pay as long as we paid before 45 days from check-in. So like I said, it was really easy. You could go online and just pay. So our second week was December 14th to December 21st, again Saturday to Saturday at Disney's Boardwalk Villas. We stayed in a deluxe studio, but here they have view categories. So we ended up staying in a garden pool view room.
Now that's actually because standard had already gone. By the time we had conversed with the lady and she came back to us, standard was gone and been taken by all the DVC owners.
So even our 11-month standard at Boardwalk is very hard to get. So we went
like that for some resorts
to the next category. So it wasn't the most expensive category, but it wasn't also the cheapest. It was the one in the middle. It cost 107 points for the owner to book, and in total that was 2,033 US dollars.
Which, if you wanted an Australian on today's rate, 71 cents US for 1 Australian dollar is 2,872 Australian dollars.
Yeah. So then the rest of the deposit for the Boardwalk was $1,177 is what we had to pay up front as the deposit once they had booked it for us, and then the rest of it we had till 45 days out.
Now I think the DVC rental store has gone up because I thought we paid a bit cheaper. I'm fairly sure we only paid $18 per point for, we could do the calculation, figure it out, but I'm fairly sure it was only $18 per point, and it was $19 for Boardwalk. However, now currently on their website, it is, for Old Key West it'd be $19 because it's a non-premium resort, and for Boardwalk it'd actually be $21. So it might have actually been maybe even $20.
No, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't.
It was 19. I don't remember hitting the 20 mark though. I don't remember doing 20 points. So I think it's just gone up slightly, but that's all on their website. If you're on the calculator page, just keep scrolling down and it'll tell you how much money you pay per point. Is there a difference to renting DVC points? Are you treated differently? all that sort of stuff? The simple answer to that is no. They know no difference. We even at first were a bit scared to tell them we were renting.
Yeah.
Because we were like, oh my god, what are they gonna say? But
we were like, oh no, when we check in, like, are they gonna ask who like the owner was that booked our stay?
We actually memorized their names just in case, like, oh yeah, he's a friend of it. Because we didn't know. We were sort of a bit terrified.
Yeah.
But they really didn't ask, and we were just like, this was the lady at the boardwalk.
The reservation's not in the owner's name anyway.
No.
It's all in the names that you tell them.
Yeah. And we were just like, oh yeah, we're renting DVC points to try it out to see if we like it. And she was like, oh okay, that's really cool. And just went into like her little spiel about the boardwalk. So made no difference. We still got Magical Express. We still got all the perks you get for staying at Disney Resort. That's like 180 days dine in advance. Not currently, that doesn't exist. That's 60 days fast passes. Not currently, that doesn't exist. You get what I mean though, if we go back to the normal world, those perks that you get at any other Disney resort, you get here. The only thing you have to keep in mind is if you're on the website, say, and you notice 30% off at Deluxe Villas, you can't get that. The DVC owners do not get percentages off or anything because they're just working off a points chart. So you can't get any of those deals, those special offers that come out. Or packages, and that means you can't get free dining. So if that is something you're heavily interested in, look away now, turn this video off. You can't rent DVC points. You can get the dining plan. When we went with DVC rental store, like you could have just told them you want to throw it in. It's just you're charged at the full price. And I think Mickey believes that you had to pay it up front as well.
I think you had to pay the full amount of the dining plan up front when you
So you can still get it, but because the majority of people are in that 1, 2 or 3 bedroom, they have full-size kitchens. That's probably why they don't offer free dining to DVC owners. So they're the only things you can't get. Otherwise, for everything else, you were treated as a very normal person staying at Disney World. Just, it's the same as if you're booking through the Disney World website. You just did it a little bit differently.
How to start the process. So pretty much you contact, so you find a company that you like. Like we said, we went through DVC rental store.
And that's who we're going to be basing this off. Other companies might work a bit differently, but
but there's like heaps, and we actually, I think we actually went onto like a Disney Facebook group that we're part of in Australia, and we just asked people which ones they had used and they gave us their recommendations, and then we looked at those. So it depends what you want. I'm sure they're all legit and fine, but that's just the one we went through. So we knew about the whole like 11-month thing. We sort of had some idea on how DVC works. So we knew that we needed to contact them just before 11 months so that we could get an owner to book at the 11-month mark, which means just that you're guaranteed more to get the hotel and the room that you want. Whereas the later you book, the more DVC members can book, so you're less likely to get that room.
Yeah, and I'll just give you an example as a DVC owner, so I can give you perspective. We were booking for this year, which is not happening anymore, but we were booking for December this year to stay at like Riviera for 1 week in a studio. I was on the dot, on there at the 11-month mark, booked it. Within half an hour, all of the studios...
20 minutes actually.
Yeah, okay, 20 minutes, all the studios at Riviera were gone at 11 months. That is how fast it happens. So I don't want to get your hopes up, but just have backup resorts planned, because you're not always going to get that resort you want, or it might be best to wait it out and not do at the 11 months. Just keep waiting and asking. I'm sure they'll can keep an eye out for you when something does appear.
So like with us and Boardwalk, like even if you just pay a bit more and go for a more expensive room type, because obviously everyone, like a lot of the DVC owners, you know, they want to use the least amount of points that they can. So you're not always gonna, the cheaper categories obviously and the studios are the first to go. The bigger rooms actually you're generally more likely to get, but studios go very fast. If you're just looking for a studio and you're just looking for standard, a lot of resorts, they go very quickly. So you want to be on the ball, getting ready just before 11 months so that your person that you're talking to at the rental store can go organize that and have an owner that they know wants to rent points, and it can do that at the 11-month mark for you. So you pretty much go on and you just like go to get a quote. So you fill out like a form with your information. I think you put like the guest names, contact details, and then you put your resort preferences. So we originally just we heard a tip that if you didn't want them to give you any other resort, just put the same resort down as all of your preferences. So we did that because originally we only wanted to stay at Boardwalk for the whole 2 weeks. But there, I think it gives you like 3 or 4 options, and you have to pick the room type and all that sort of stuff. So you'll go through, you fill out that form, they'll send it to you, and they'll assign like a, I don't know, agent, so that's what you call them.
Yeah.
But they'll assign someone who will like work with you to find a member and deal with your contracts and all that stuff. So that person will then get back to you and tell you what they can have available, with what members they have that can book at 11 months, because obviously they have to have members that own at that resort to be able to book at the 11-month mark. So they'll organise all that and tell you what they can do, and then once you say, yeah, I'm happy with that, happy to go ahead, you'll pay your $100 security deposit, they'll go get the member to book that, and then you'll pretty much just receive an email, and it's just like when you book a normal a normal Disney hotel booking, you'll get a resort confirmation. So it'll be a Disney resort confirmation telling you your room and all that sort of stuff. You'll have your confirmation number, and then they'll also send it in another email as well. So once that happens, then they'll explain, okay, so we've booked it, this is your confirmation number, it's all done. Now you have to pay the rest of that, like around $50, not $50, 50%, 60% deposit, and explain how to do that. So you go and do that, and then like we said, you have pretty much after that, you just make payments until the 45 days out.
Something she forgot to mention, but when you're paying that $100 to then, for them to actually go and book it after you've received the quote, which was free, and then you're like, yep, I want you to go book Boardwalk for me, then you pay them the $100. If they cannot secure you that booking, they will refund the $100 back to you, so that's you're not going to lose money.
And they'll put it towards your other deposit too. So that's why
if it does go through, they will put it towards your deposit. If you do get what you want.
So I did slightly mention that before, because some places, if they can't end up getting you what you want, you won't get that $100 back. So that's one of the reasons why we went through DVC Rental Store, because they will give you your money back if they don't end up getting what you asked for.
Something else to keep in mind for us international people, the prices they're quoting you are in US dollars, so please remember to convert them to your local currency. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but I guess for some people maybe it isn't. You know, you're used to someone who's gone onto a website and seeing things in your local currency. So just remember to do that, so then you know the actual cost. So with the DVC Rental Store as well, you could only do cash transfers or pay with a credit card. There was no other way. Like I think some of them do PayPal and stuff like that. They didn't have that. So for us, we used a credit card. So you may want to consider getting a credit card that has no international transaction fees, things like that, because obviously, you know, our credit card's in Australian dollars and we're paying in US dollars. So that's just something to consider.
It was very easy though, and they don't
incredibly easy.
You don't actually email any of your credit card. We paid by credit card, I'm fairly sure. We didn't email any of our credit card information to the lady. They actually have this full setup. So you go make a payment, you tell them what the payment's for, and you put your information in, just like when you're buying something.
Or so sort of like when you're paying a bill, you know, and you put your reference number in, and then it just all
So it's not like you're sharing over email or anything like that. You're sharing your information. It's done through.
It's all through a form, pretty much.
Just like if you were paying, like if you were buying something online and used your credit card, it was really the same as that.
And then for anybody freaking out, once you get the confirmation and they give you that confirmation number, you literally just put that into your My Disney experience like you do when you get a normal Disney confirmation, and it just pops up and you're good to go. It says you're staying in a deluxe villa, you're staying Old Key West, like it's all like normal. So no need to freak out from, you know, if you're wondering, oh my God, how do I connect it? It's very, very simple. And as Mickey said, hopefully the travel agent you've gone through, if you've gone direct through an owner, they should be able to explain all of that to you. So yeah. Okay, we're now at the end of this video. So I've just got a few tips of things to remember. So I hope you now understand how renting DVC points works. You understand who we rented through. You understand why it is good to rent. It's just, it's cheaper. You're gonna actually save money. Now, obviously it's still, you know, let's be real, it's still probably cheaper to stay at a value.
You gotta remember you're staying at more pretty much like deluxe level resorts.
You're staying closer to the parks normally. Key West,
Close
not
to
really.
Disney Springs.
But you're pretty much, majority of them, you're very, very, very close to a theme park. And that's why they charge you more for them. So
yeah.
It makes sense. But when we actually stayed, I don't know the exact calculations, and as you heard what Mickey said before, how much we actually paid. But when we figured that out, Pop Century was only a tiny bit cheaper. And it would have, like, I think it was still cheaper than staying at like Port Orleans Riverside.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Yeah, it was still cheaper for us. So it was almost like we got an in-between category.
It was in between. So like I just added the whole 2 weeks. So I added the Old Key West and the Boardwalk portion together as one big sum for our accommodation. And when I divided that by 14 to get a nightly rate, and then looked at the Disney World website for normal.
And then obviously we also had 4 adults that we had to include in that price too. So
I looked at and it was pretty much between Pop Century and Art of Animation. So it was still cheaper than booking a moderate resort, and you were staying at a deluxe.
So yeah, things to consider. So definitely just do your research and you'll figure out how cheap it is. A bit hard right now with everything that's happening, but you can still look up on the website like I did before and showed you those August calculations, how there was $1,000 difference. But yeah, so just some other things to remember. This is something that we did. We made this mistake. As a DVC owner, you have a limited number of points. Not everyone just has a spare 1,000 points to willy-nilly throw around. So if you're going in and you're like, which is what we did, we went, we want 2 weeks at the boardwalk.
Because we normally stay 2 weeks.
Now, that means we need an owner, hold on, meet our handy dandy points chart that we got when we became DVC owners. Hold on.
The points do change slightly every year too.
Yeah, so we had to pay 107. So let's just say, because standard probably would have been gone anyway. Say we needed somebody to have 214 points at the boardwalk who are willing to give up that amount of points. One owner. You can't have 2 owners.
Otherwise you'd have to have 2 separate bookings.
Correct. So if you want that one booking for 2 weeks at the one resort, you need an owner with enough points. So what I guess I'm trying to tell you is maybe if you're looking like us,
who go for like
international people who we go for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe if you want more options open to you, more resorts, because she did come back and give us resorts that we could have had for 2 weeks. I think it was like Animal Kingdom,
it was Animal
Key West,
and
Saratoga came back that they had owners who had enough points at those resorts to cover us for 2 weeks. And that's when we realized, wait, we should split it. When we realized we weren't going to get boardwalk, so we did a split stay. And I personally don't like packing and repacking.
I don't find it
but I enjoyed staying at 2 different resorts and getting to experience that. So that is something to keep in mind. There is limited availability of what these owners have. My battery's now dying.
Yeah, I know, I just saw that one. I was like, I don't want to interrupt you.
A few moments later.
There we go. Okay, I feel better about this. Okay, so yeah, limited availability. So really think about how many points you're using, and don't be disheartened when they come back and say, like, look, an owner doesn't have 675 points for your week-long stay at a 3-bedroom grand villa. That could happen. So just keep that in mind. You might have to do some split stays or do some multiple reservations to get what you want. But you're saving money, so yeah. Something else to keep in mind, I'm really gonna look at this notebook for this one. All sales are final. You can get insurance. So like the DVC rental store did offer us point protection, I think is what they called it. And so you can get like an insurance through them. It is a bit pricey because obviously I think you pay per point, and that pretty much means obviously if you had to cancel for any reason, you get all your money back. And I think it's also just so the owner gets something, because essentially you're using someone's points, and if you then choose not to use them, they actually, you know, those points are locked in.
For them
so
to find someone to rent.
Yeah, that's why it's like that. So yeah. It's all final. We're pretty much okay with that, because when we say we're going to Disney World, we're going to Disney World.
Yeah.
Like we pretty much have to be dying if we're not going.
We had flights and everything.
In that circumstance, our normal travel insurance would cover us in an extreme circumstance where we couldn't travel. Our normal travel insurance would have covered, you know, to pay back us for that lost accommodation and all that sort of stuff. Travel insurance is good, kids. Get travel insurance. Something else to keep in mind, there is no daily cleaning service. So don't expect mousekeeping to come to your door every day. That's not gonna happen.
They're not gonna make your bed.
And they won't even come empty your trash daily. So you'll have to go find a bin. If you're like us and you have a lot of rubbish, there's usually ones like nearby. But they don't come every day. After 4 days, they'll come in and change your towels, give you new towels and whatnot. And then I can't quite remember, I think it's the 7th or 8th day. So if you're staying in the one place for longer than a week, they will actually come and do like a full clean because you've been there for a week. If you're freaking out and you're like, oh my God, what does that mean? Like, my place is gonna be dirty. There's a vacuum cleaner in every room. If you feel like you want to vacuum, there's dirt everywhere, maybe you've got kids in the sand, there is a vacuum cleaner, so you can make it feel clean. I'm sure you can go to the front desk and ask for more towels or sheets. I don't know if they'll charge you. So
the other thing to note is like some of the resorts we've stayed at, they had the H2O products built in pumps in the wall, so we never ran out. But if there's still the resorts that are giving you the little bottles and you run out and you want more, you're gonna have to go and ask them to pay for it. So you might get a nice mousekeeper nearby that might just give them to you, but like, don't rely on that happening. Is what we're telling you. I would suggest in that case bringing your own shampoo, like
just go to Walmart,
shampoo, conditioner, and soap and stuff like that. Or if you really want, you can go up to the front desk or call someone and ask. But they may charge it to your room. Yeah, so just something to keep in mind, because as a DVC owner, it's a little bit different. Like I said, they're mainly apartments you get in, so they pretty much expect you to be a bit more self-sufficient in that they don't have to come in. They do have to come in every day though for safety checks, but they don't actually touch the room, but they just come in and do their safety check. Something they have to do. Something else to keep in mind, yes, you're renting DVC points, yes, you're getting the perks of staying in deluxe and you're saving money, but that does not mean you're a DVC member. You will not get DVC discounts like a DVC member would. You need your DVC card in order to get those, and just because you're renting points, it doesn't mean you're entitled to that. It also means you don't get into the DVC lounges that are on property. So you need to be a DVC member. They sort of keep that exclusive to members only, which I sort of like because it keeps those sort of places, it keeps like not exclusive, but like a bit of a secret, you have to be a member to get these sort of things. Just like, I guess, if you're an annual pass holder, you get discounts. Same sort of thing. So we started off as non-owners and we didn't get any of those things, which we were fine with. We then, obviously, if you watch the vlogs, ended up DVC owners, so we got to check a few things out. It was pretty cool. We've got so much stuff in front of us. So points are different at different times of year. I'm gonna hold this book up again. If you go to the DVC website, the Disney Vacation Club website, or just Google. You can just Google it.
DVC point chart. Hopefully the latest one should come up for you, or then the following year's one. At the moment we only have 2020s. They haven't released 2021.
No, we have 2021.
Sorry, we have 2021. 2020 is just still in this book. 2021 is printed on pieces of paper. They haven't released 2022. In case anybody is wondering, for like
usually it happens at the end of the year.
Yeah, it should be coming
like
soon.
At the end of this year, the 22.
I would expect them to be like November, because we got 2021 when we were there in December, so I'm thinking they would be released sometime soon in the next couple of months, in case you're looking at going 2022. And take a look at these points. I'm just going to open up on it. Let's not open up on the Grand Floridian. So I'm going to come close to the screen. I could put a screenshot in, but why not when I've already got the book right? So as you can see, if it's going to focus, at different times of year, they've got different seasons. Now in 2021, the seasons have changed, but at different times of year, it's cheaper or more expensive to go. Classic, Easter and Christmas is your most expensive at the bottom here. And as you can see, throughout other times of the year, it's cheaper. Your cheapest is January and early December and early September, actually the whole of September.
Yeah,
which I actually,
for 2020.
That was for 2020, so it's changed slightly. But if you want to get, let's go back down now. If you want to get like the best bang for your buck and you don't care about what time of year you travel and all those sorts of things,
it's now September.
Yeah, look at that. Look at the time of year where the points are at its cheapest.
Yeah, so they've pretty much gone from 5 seasons in 2020, and in 2021 they have 7 seasons. So they've just sort of spread the points out a bit more.
But yeah, this is definitely handy to just go Google it, go find it, and then you'll see how much the points worth, and then you can easily, or like just use the DVC rental store and that will tell you too, but that just gives you an idea of how the points fluctuate throughout the year. So if you're planning to go Christmas week, in case you couldn't read that, so let's just open it up.
Double.
Let's look at Riviera, our resort. If you're going Christmas week and you're just doing like a normal standard studio week, I'm gonna look at the weekly points because it does actually points change from a Friday to a Thursday. Thursday's cheaper than a Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah.
But for a week, Christmas week is 204 points at Riviera, so then you gotta think how much you're paying. Whereas if you went in early December, which is when we like to go, you're only paying 109 for the exact room.
The same room.
So think about how much money you would be saving if you put that into dollar values. So yeah, that's just something to really consider. Something else that was really fun, you get free laundry.
Yay! And I'm glad that I actually looked this up because I had no idea that DVC members got free laundry. Like I knew that.
Well, if you're in an apartment,
Yeah.
you get a laundry in there, so 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, you get a laundry.
But for studios, I knew they didn't have a washer and dryer, so
we didn't know how it worked.
I assumed they just had to still pay for their laundry, but then I found out online that no, you still get free laundry.
Yeah.
So at places like I said before, the dedicated DVC resorts, so like Old Key West, Saratoga Springs, and Riviera Resort, they will have, so pretty much every laundry at those resorts will be free.
It's just free. You just walk in, the machine's free.
Because they're pretty much catering for all the studio people who need the free laundry.
You might need a magic band to get in. I haven't been to the Riviera one, but I assume because it's so close to Caribbean Beach, and Caribbean Beach you have to pay for laundry, it's probably a magic band to access. So you probably need a magic band to get into the door to the laundry, but we always got in at Old Key West and Boardwalk. We just and walked in.
And then another thing to note, if you're not staying at Old Key West, Saratoga, or Riviera, and you decide to stay at one of the other DVC
like
resorts,
Boardwalk, for example.
Yeah, so because it's part of it's part hotel, part DVC rooms, there will be one, I think it's usually only one at each resort, one specific laundry room that is free. So I just went online. I think if you go like on the Diz boards, for example, I think that's where I found them. There are people who will go and list like, oh, at Animal Kingdom Lodge, this is where it is, this is where it's located. That's the free laundry for the studio people. Or like just for like Boardwalk, someone's like, oh, it's on level 1 just down from the gym. That's where the DVC laundry room is. So yeah, just keep that, like a note of that to look up if you're staying in a studio and you're staying at one of those resorts where the free laundry is. There will be one, but there'll probably only be one of them. So
yeah. Another thing, you do have to pay for detergent with this if you stay in a studio. If you're in the 1, 2, or 3 bedrooms, you get like a little bottle.
Very small bottle.
But I recommend going to Walmart or a local grocery store, supermarket, and just buying some detergent. You might be wondering why you're getting so excited about laundries. Like, I don't know about you guys, but we actually wash our clothes on holiday.
Yeah.
So it was good not having to pay, because it was not fun having to pay at like Caribbean Beach.
We actually did so many loads. So
I could imagine it'd be really good if you had little kids and they're like, messy and stuff. You were probably gonna need it a lot. So free laundry. Hey, there you go. Something else to consider, not that we would use this, but you do get free parking. Even if you're renting points, you still get the free parking because you're staying on a DVC.
You're staying on DVC points.
Yeah, so you still get free parking.
Yeah.
So that's good for all you guys who actually drive in the US. Not drive. I don't plan to drive anytime soon because it really scares me. And something else to consider is you can't change the primary on the booking. So if Michaela was making a booking, she would be primary, but her name cannot change.
They call it the lead guest.
Or the lead guest, however they want to call it. There's the number 1 person and they cannot change. If you change that person, I think you probably have to cancel your booking and redo it.
Yeah, they can't.
So, but you can change the other people. Not that I would recommend doing this, but you can probably change them as much as you want.
Yeah.
The owner just goes and updates that for you.
You just email.
And you just email whoever you're contacting. And because originally Mickey and I just booked and our parents weren't coming, and then they decided to come along, so we added their names to it. There was no problem with that. Didn't pay any extra, as I mentioned.
We just
so
contacted
it's really great.
Tara. She contacted the owner. He went and updated it, and she said, "Hey, it's been updated," and then it showed up in their mind.
And then just something to keep in mind, you have to make, and they will tell you this, but you have to make sure the name you're giving them is the same name as what you have on your My Disney Experience account, just so when you link it, they realize, oh yes, that is the same person, and it's like a seamless process. That is it. I hope this was helpful. This was very long. We tried to go short again, and here we are talking for the longest time. I'm really hungry because it's dinner time. The dogs are passed out, but I hope you understand how renting DVC points works. If I hadn't have brought DVC, I would have 1000% continued. Yeah. I honestly believe if I ever had to stay on property again, and let's say I don't have enough points and didn't just want to stay to value, I would probably rent points. I would definitely do it again if I needed the extra points. The one good thing about it, which I sort of hate, but as a DVC owner, I can only book 11 months out at Riviera, whereas if I was renting points, I could have owners at every resort at my disposal.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, but just, yeah, I don't like that part. But at 7 months, it's a free for all. So at 7 months, you might see availability really become scarce at that point, because it's a free for all. Us owners are like, oh my God, I can finally book the Polynesian. We'll just be jumping on that, you know what I mean? So I think it's better to get in before that 7 month mark. If you're renting points, go to whoever you're going to contact and just get in before that point.
More likely to get what you want if you book before 7 months. But you're also more likely, the earlier you book, the better. So as soon as it opens up at 11 months, that's the best time, because that's when all the availability is open.
So yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope that explains how you rent DVC points and all that jazz. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. There may not be Disney vlogs coming because I'm stuck in Australia. I'm stuck in Queensland still. There'll be other videos like this. If you have any other videos you want me to film explaining things, leave a comment below and let me know, and give this video a thumbs up if I was somewhat helpful. If I wasn't somewhat helpful, oh well, I don't care. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time in my next video, whenever that will be. Bye!